Hello and welcome to a Reservoir Red Dogs isolation special. I'm Matt Ford. I'm delighted to be joined from my flat through the glory of the internet to his house. Paul McGregor. Hello, Paul.
Isolation. Yeah. Not the one, mate, is it?
It's so weird.
Lovely to see your face, though.
It's great
Look
seeing
at
your
it.
face. And it
Okay.
really fills the whole screen, doesn't it?
Well, I've shaved my head, and I had a what's the guy? Kurtz, isn't it? In Apocalypse Now, I had a proper Marlon Brando moment. My wife came home, and apparently it's cliche now, so I had no idea, but I probably did it first. You know me. So my wife walks in, and I'm just kneeling on a towel with some clippers I found, unoiled and all that kind of stuff, just hacking my scalp with these clippers. So I've got about a number 10 all over.
We've had some great number 10s at Forest in our time.
Oh yeah.
During the long
Give me
list.
your top three.
Collymore.
Yep.
Van Hooijdonk.
Okay.
Marlon.
All right.
There you go.
All right, that's not
bad. That was a nice opener, wasn't it? But we hope you're all well, obviously. It's a weird enough time anyway. We know it's a stressful enough time anyway. And there's no football on. We try and do these as often as we can. Obviously, when we usually record them in Nottingham, I'm coming up from London. Paul and Johnny and everyone's coming from everywhere. Our guests often have to travel. So they can be quite hard logistically. One of the benefits of this is because of the internet, we can just all do this from our spare rooms or our bedrooms or whatever. So hopefully, the plan is to put a few of these out during the lockdown to keep the forest fire burning, to keep, to entertain you mainly, but also selfishly for us.
Although we don't condone forest fires.
No, of course not. No. Oh, my word. Do not. Please, just don't. Just don't. Or just don't start any fires. Just be nice during the lockdown. Let's all get on.
Yeah.
Don't forget you can tweet the show at RRD1865. You can email the show rrd1865@outlook.com. Today's guest is the reigning player of the season at Nottingham Forest.
Mate.
One of the most exciting players we've had at Forest for a very long time, Joe Lolley.
What a left bag.
Oh, man. And just what an amazing bloke.
Yeah. Lovely fella.
We had a brilliant chat with him. You're going to love this. And we talk about the lockdown a bit, but obviously we don't just want people in the lockdown just listening to stuff about the lockdown. So we ask him about his time at university. We put him in a few situations and find out which teammates he would pick for different scenarios. And we just have a really good general chat about him, about the life of being at Forest, his impressions of the club, and just everything in between. And he's articulate.
And Chicken and Rice, and Nicholas Tesla, and Oscar Schindler. It was a varied conversation.
You're absolutely right that all those things come up. That makes it sound way more insane than it. I feel like people are going to be expecting from the Twilight Zone or some surreal. But yes, all these things get mentioned. So first and foremost, we hope you're well. We hope you're safe. We know this is a really difficult time, but we just wanted to give you something that would hopefully perk you up during this period. So enjoy the show. This is Joe Lolley. Sorry, I feel like we've really gate crashed your night here.
Of eating chicken and rice.
Yeah.
So you're obviously managing to keep yourself fit to an extent during the lockdown, but what about your mind? I mean, everyone's struggling at a time like this, not being able to go out and stuff. Are you dealing with it all mentally all right?
Yeah, I guess in I'm lucky enough that I'm can be quite an insular person at times, and it's I've got things that I enjoy. I know it sounds so boring, but I enjoy playing Football Manager. I've got, for example, I've set quizzes up with my mates regularly, and I'm on like Call of Duty. When you're on the headphones to people, I know it's so geeky, but if you're on the headphones for 4 or 5 hours, it feels like you're with people. So it's not like that in silence. So like you feel like you're doing something, talking to people. I've got my dog there, so she keeps me busy, and so it's not too bad.
So do
I
any
stay
other...
away from Football Manager, mate. I have to stay away from it. It just it destroys my life. Can't do it.
I don't usually do it during the season, to be honest, for that reason.
And do you play as Forest, or do you play as Villa, or do you play as someone else?
Gloucester City.
Why Gloucester?
Just not really sure, but I'm on me about 8th Premier League title at the moment, so it's been going well.
Well, it's obviously
I'm in
going very well.
2047.
Hopefully, by that point, the lockdown has ended.
Yeah, I mean, I did start this. I started it a few months before lockdown, but now obviously it's getting absolutely battered.
It's good to know you're using your laptop and your internet connection for wholesome pursuits. That's reassuring.
The exciting lot.
So, do any other Forest, when you're playing like Call of Duty and stuff, are you playing against other Forest players or non-football mates?
A few of them have got it. A few of them are online here and there, but they play other games. Joe Worrell knocks about sometimes. I used to play a lot with Cole Jenkinson. I don't know what they're doing apart from that, to be honest with you, because I don't see many of them online much of the time. A few of the young lads have got it, but they play with each other, like Brennan, George Shelby. I think they play with their mates and stuff. So, but I've got a few mates who are the same position, not working at the moment, obviously, and sort of just time on their hands. What else the boys going to do, I guess.
So how long do you think you're going to need when you're back, mate? How long do you think you're going to need in terms of, because I was thinking about this yesterday. It's like, it's almost as if you need another pre-season, but you're not going to get time to have it. Like, how's that going to work?
Yeah, I think by all accounts from what we've heard, I think it is going to be pretty much a pre-season. Right. You know, I'm not 100% sure of the dates, but it does look like it's sort of going to be a 4 or 5 week training before we're going to play games. And in the meantime, the sort of few weeks leading up to that, we'll be given a schedule of running and whatnot. And I think in the modern day, I'd say everyone sort of looks after themselves pretty well these days. So even now we're meant to be off. And I know obviously myself and there'll be others who are still out there sort of running and trying to keep as fit as possible. And obviously with all the time, it's not like we're on holiday or doing anything else. So, you know, we shouldn't, you know, realistically, I think it'll take a few weeks to sort of get used to playing football again. And a bit like the match fitness, I'm not sure, because, you know, usually you have friendlies, so I don't know how everything will work in that regard. But I think fitness-wise, I don't think it'll be too bad. It'll just be the sort of match fitness, which will be interesting.
It's a fairly long gap, isn't it? So you might get some teams that were, you know, really struggling with relegation come back and just, you know, find themselves a little step ahead of somebody that you know, so possibly 3 or 4 places above them, that they come back and don't hit the ground running really. And you might just get some kind of, I don't think it's going to just continue. Everybody will just, you know, because they're all the same players. I don't think it'll just continue as was. There's a good chance that there's a few teams that might come back with a kick up the backside thinking, well, we've got a month or 2 to sort this.
Yeah. So just finishing. Yeah, no, I'd go along with that, to be honest. I think it'll be interesting. Obviously, it's just an unprecedented situation, but I think it's important that you sort of do come back fit and raring to go, because it's easy to forget with everything happening. Obviously, it doesn't feel that important at the moment, but I know, obviously, once we are back at some point, if we do get the opportunity to finish the season, that we need to make sure that we're back and actually ready to go straight away. And because obviously we are where we are in the league, and you know there is a big opportunity for the club, and it's almost easy to forget that because of everything that's happening. But obviously by the time we're back, we need to make sure that we sort of don't lose what we've worked so hard for at the start of the season.
You've done some amazing stuff, Joe. For the vulnerable people in Nottingham, you've been very generous with your money and your time, helping the most vulnerable people in the city. How important is it for you for footballers to be seen to be doing good at a time like this?
I just extend that to everyone, really. I think anyone who's got the means or the capacity to do so, you know, that I don't see why people shouldn't be helping out. I mean, it's a crisis that we haven't seen. Not in my lifetime. I'm not sure yours or whatever. Not to say that you're that much older than me, but
massive dig, that is massive dig,
massive. But you know, it's something it's never happened before. A lot of people are losing, you know, their jobs. Obviously, vulnerable people, older people not being able to go out, and you know, a lot of people are struggling at the moment. So anyone, as I said, anyone who's got the means to, you know, whether you're a footballer or you're not, I think obviously it helps maybe footballer because it gives you the platform to sort of extend it, and hopefully, you know, if one person might see what you're doing and think, oh, that's a good idea, then they help, then it's obviously a bonus. So, but as I said, I think it's down to everyone really as society to chip in and help get everyone through at this stage.
Yeah, it's just been so weird that people have really focused on footballers, and I don't mean that necessarily in a positive way. Some footballers were first on their list for people they wanted to be seen doing stuff, and as we all know, footballers do good all year round, and we're obviously very keen to help. So it was just a bit strange that footballers were kind of in the spotlight in a way that any other profession wasn't. I don't know if that felt weird to you and to your teammates. Yeah,
I mean, I haven't spoke too much to other teammates, to be honest, about it. I think it was more the fact it was pinpointed. I don't think there's anything wrong if you know, whichever sport, whichever business you're in, if you're well earning, high earning payroll or whatever, and you've got the means to help, we need everyone to chip in, and you know, everything helps, sort of thing. But to sort of denounce, I guess, one group over so many groups, such as, I guess, a small fraction of the population, I found quite strange. And it's strange it was in the news and whatever, but I guess that's what you come, I think, when you're sort of in the limelight like we are publicly. I guess you sort of, you know, you take the good and the bad.
You've been at Forest now for about 2 years. You were signed, I mean, and it feels so much longer. I mean that as a compliment as a fan. It feels like you've been around more than 2 years. Does it feel longer to you?
Because no one else is ever around.
Well, maybe that's what it is. Yeah, you're also the longest-serving current.
Yeah, I am actually in the top about 4 or 5 longest servers. Yeah.
Oh man, I mean, so much has changed in that time. So much has happened. I mean, does it feel like it's been a whirlwind to you?
Yeah, no, it does feel like I've been here a long time. I've seen off a few managers already. So I guess the usual or whatever. So it feels like I'm sort of been here the longest and know the club more than many other players do. And I mean, that is true in fact or whatever. So, yeah, it does. It feels like a sort of large part of my career. You know, I was at Huddersfield for nearly 5 years yet. I think Forest feels like 10, to be honest. So, but I've enjoyed every moment, and I've enjoyed the city and sort of how everyone's took to myself and the club itself. So yeah, it's been really good.
And when you first signed for Forest, what were your first impressions of the place?
It was all a bit of a whirlwind. It sort of happened and all in the space of a day or two. I just remember hearing of interest, and obviously I knew it was a massive club. The location in terms of closer to home. And yeah, I mean, I remember being showed around the sort of ground and the European Cup trophies, and yeah, you sort of just felt like it was no disrespect to others because they were a Premier League club at the time and sort of spending a lot in terms of the facilities, but the whole, like, the aura of the club and everything, it just felt like a big sort of step in terms of the potential of the club.
Because Paul came up through basically spent his whole life at Forest and came through the junior ranks, the youth team, the reserves, and then in the first team. I mean, I suppose in a way, Paul, you had a completely different experience because what age did you come to Forest at?
Oh, goodness, I'd signed schoolboy forms at 14, but I was there from the age of 11. And it was different back in those days because you'd be going for trials all over the country. Yeah, by the way, if you asked me this question so Joe can cram all his chicken down his neck.
I did think
I'm enjoying listening.
Yeah, so by the age of 14, I got forced to, sign schoolboy forms and to get me off the market.
When you say
imagine what that does to a young lad about to go into his GCSEs.
But when you say forced, do you mean they kind of...
Gun to the head.
Yeah. Well, like, how serious was it? Balaclavas and a transit van? Like, what sort of level are we talking? Brian
Clough telling you to sign a piece of paper is not far from a gun to your head, is it?
Yeah, sure.
You're going to sign it.
So then, as someone who was at the club for so long, do you think you have a more not a more emotional, but you obviously had a unique experience spending so much of your time there? And who knows, Joe, hopefully you'll be with us for a long time, but did you feel like it was your role, Paul, when newcomers came in to kind of induct them into the ways of the club?
No. If you get on with it, it's competition, isn't it? I mean, if a new right back comes in, that's one thing. But I can remember I was absolutely flying in the reserves and breaking into the first team and playing on the right. I was sent forward, playing right wing and stuff. There was talks of Stoney being moved into the centre of the park so I can come through. And it was England right winger at the time. To be fair, I was buzzing. I was on fire. And then we signed a really fast young right winger from Hastings called Paul Smith. He was a great lad, really, really sound lad. But he was a cracking player. And I was just like, what's this about? You've literally signed a four-like player. And I was on fire. I couldn't believe it. And he was a good player, mate. He was a good player. So Frank Clark was just like, yeah, well, keep you on your toes, son. So that was just how it was. So when players used to come in, you're a bit like, that's all right, yeah, it's good, you centre off, whatever. But somebody comes in that's your position, then it's a bit kill or be killed.
It's kicking the backside, isn't it, then? So when you came in then, Joe, did you feel that other players were looking over their shoulder at you a bit? Was there a bit of rivalry there?
I think naturally there's always the rivalry. I mean, we had about 40 players at the time, I think. It was that end of window sort of crazy.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I went because I think I was going into to play or whatever. I think we signed about 8 players on deadline day, and there had been a few iffy results. And I think, Karanka was he was quite a brutal manager. Do you know what I mean? He was quite, he sort of 1 or 2 bad games and you were off to wherever and you weren't to be seen again. So I knew I was coming in and going to be sort of part of it as a new signing. You always expect to sort of play, really. So at the start, obviously players would have been, but I don't think we had that many wingers at the time, to be honest. Thinking back, I'm just trying to think who played wide. I think there was me, Kashi. I think Lee Tomlin played a few games out wide, but I think Barry Mackay at that point, I think he'd sort of pushed him to the side, and Kieran Dowell as well sort of used him sparingly from the bench. Ben Osborne was mainly a left back, so there wasn't too many wingers, and we had a lad Ashkander Jagger. Obviously, he got injured after a week, so another winger sort of went. So there wasn't a great deal of competition until the summer, when we sort of seemed to sign a barrage of wingers.
You studied sports coaching.
It's the collective noun, I think, isn't it?
A barrage of wingers.
Yeah.
You studied sports coaching at university. Do you, as a player then, you must have more insight into coaching than some of your other teammates at any club that you're at. Do coaches realise that you've got that academic knowledge, and do they ever try and utilise it?
Absolutely not. No, to be honest, I never claimed to go to uni and work the hardest, or I was there coaching. I guess I did uni how a lot of people do uni, not really remembering too much and spending. But no, I enjoyed it. I didn't know what I was going to do. I enjoyed stuff like analysing football. I used to do some stuff analyst. I think if I'll be honest, if I'm looking back, that's probably maybe a way I would have gone. We have obviously a few analyst guys at the club now, and that's probably something I'm quite interested in. But from a coaching point of view, I know nothing different to anyone else really. And yeah, that's not really I guess a big thing from my point of view. You learn far more in a few days of football than you ever did on a course, to be honest.
But it's so rare to have. I mean, so many footballers now just are signed so young, and they not all of them break young, but they're basically in football. Those that make it all their lives. But you've had this. Obviously, you're still playing football while you're at university. But was there a period when you were at university where you weren't sure if you'd end up being a footballer or not?
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't think I'd be a footballer until I was 21 and I was actually playing football professionally. And it was never a thing for me, to be honest. Even growing up, my dad always kept my feet on the ground. Like, I never really was like, I was good at football and played for academy, but, and I guess when you're a kid, you're like, I want to be a footballer and stuff. But I was, as I got to 15, 16, I knew it was always like a difficult thing to achieve. And up to, I just went to uni. There's probably in many ways what held me back from maybe not achieving earlier, because I never was like, I want to be a footballer. I need to ring up and try and get these clubs and have trials, and I need to get fit and do this, because it was like, it wasn't even something that was on my mind. It was just, it was just luck really that I was in the right place, right times, and the right people saw me, and it was sort of like, I'm half-handed at football sort of thing. So it was more of that than me ever having any ambition to be a footballer, if I'm being honest.
I mean,
it's so bizarre.
It's incredible. It's incredible, not just that you've made it as a professional footballer, but you're the best player we've got. It's not like you're. It's not like you're. And I mean that with respect to. I think we've got a phenomenal side, but it's not just that you're good. You're so good. It just seems insane that you and maybe others hadn't noticed until just a few years ago. I can't believe it. Instead of sort of keeping it secret.
Well, I think, I used to have mates and I play at uni, and then players, the manager at uni, and players who played in my local team who used to say like, for example, went to uni at Preston, my mate always said, you could play for Preston. And like I always say, like, don't be ridiculous. Like, I was at, say, Division 11 in English football, and I think they were in League One at the time. And only obviously looking back now, I'm probably thinking, I probably could have, to be fair. But at the time, you're just thinking like they're professional footballers. They're much better than me. You know what I mean? Like, I was good at that level, but it's not until you try yourself against better players that I sort of realise, I'm quite good, sort of thing. It was sort of just, I think that'll be. It was always like, if we got promoted, say at my local team, we went from Division 11 to Division 10, mid-com Division 1 to mid-com Prem. It was like, this will be a big step up. Like, this will be a good test. That was like the mindset. It wasn't like, I wonder if I could play professionally. But
I think that's why players like yourself are always really well loved. Like when you get players that are just obsessed and it's all they were ever going to do and it's all they can do. I think it's amazing when you get players, like you people who you look at Letitia and Gaza and these people that just like, it's just such a
good bunch to be grouped.
Yeah, I know, I've thrown you in there, haven't I? But,
me, Gaza and Letitia.
There's a night out. But yeah, it's. I just find it. I find it so, like, people talk about elite mentality and things like that, and it's just kind of like someone's thrown you a ball on a Tuesday and you've gone, I can do 20 kick-ups and I can go around him, and I'm not bad at this. I find it so strange. I've not known many, if any, lads like that.
No, but I'm, as I said, in many ways, I take it as like a good thing in terms of, that's me, that's who I am as a person. But obviously, in the other aspect is, realistically, I could have been here 27 doing something completely different, because of that mindset of not having that like that real sort of burning ambition to do it. And I could have just been doing a normal job and never realised, I guess, the talent that maybe I did have. So I guess like it can be, do you know what I mean? I did get lucky in that respect. So
hopefully now in the position on the way out of it as well.
Sorry?
hopefully you're the same on the way out of it. You know, I was lucky to have like a couple of other ambitions as well. So I kind of transitioned quite simply. A lot of the lads really struggle with the transition because it's all they know. It's all they've ever wanted to know. It's all they've ever done, all they've ever wanted to do. It kind of sounds like, you know, you might have several things that you're really interested in pursuing after it, and you might have the right mentality. It's like, wow, you know, I've done something great for a short period in my life, and off I go again. Here we go.
Yeah, I say, look, I don't mean it as a bad thing, because you know, obviously people ask me and stuff, and like, you know, my dad, like, oh, you find like you miss it. And to be honest, like, you know, even now, like, I miss like seeing the lads and stuff and the banter, but you know, I'm not obsessed with, you know, I'm not sat here like I can't wait to kick a ball again. Do you know, like, I'm not generally, like, when I have my summer breaks, I enjoy my summers. I enjoy going away from football. You know, when I'm there, I work my hardest I can do. I try my best. You know, I love to win. I'm a really competitive person. So, and I love playing football. So, you know, but the whole thing around football, everything that, you know, I guess the pressure, like everything around football, I don't miss that much when I do get my time off, I do enjoy it. I'm not desperate to ever just go back and because, do you know what I mean? So yeah. I think when after football, I think I'll find it I'll find it a comfortable transition. As you said, some people, that's all they've known, that's all they've done. Yeah. That's all their sort of like their life is. But for me, I enjoy other things. You know, and yeah, I can sort of just take myself away from it and enjoy other things, which again is, you know, I guess it is a bit different, but yeah, I guess that's just me, who I am, and yeah, everyone's different.
You've got a lot of other interests. You're clearly very politically aware. You occasionally talk about that on social media. I mean, anyone who expresses an opinion on social media always gets some positive, sometimes a lot of negative. I mean, do you ever think I probably shouldn't say this? Or do you think, no, I do think this and I'm going to put it out there?
Yeah, sometimes. But then I'll just think, do you know what? We've lived in a world where footballers, you sort of like get lambasted, I guess, for like, it's just, but like the footballers' general tweets, it's boring, isn't it? It's all like, it's all professionally done, and no one's allowed to have an opinion. And I remember the first time I started sort of speaking up on anything really, you know, the club were quick to sort of say, oh, you know, maybe you need to stay off social media, or if you're going to post something, I want you to post about how you're keeping fit or your football. And now they just completely accept that I am who I am, and that, you know, they're absolutely fine with it. They make no attempt to sort of ask me to not post anything. And I think as long as you're not abusing people or doing anything that's out of hand, I don't see what's wrong with having an opinion. And hopefully it almost opens the floodgates, hopefully, for more people to maybe go look and see, oh, okay, well, if he's, you know, maybe I can have an opinion. Because I think a lot of people are scared of what teammates or the club will think. But I think in general, you know, whether you agree or disagree with any opinions that people post, I think people enjoy the fact that there's more to talk about, or there's more to someone than just, oh, he just plays football. And yeah, so hopefully in the future it'll allow for more people to sort of come out and say things. And even at training, you get sometimes sitting down eating food, and like lads will talk about conversations that I guess we wouldn't have ever spoke about because they've seen me tweet about it, and maybe even ask questions, oh, why do you think that, or like, why is this? And yeah, so I guess it just opens up little more interesting things than just your usual football.
That is so good, and I think it's fantastic, and I'd love to see more footballers do it, because it's you're not saying controversial things, you're just putting out opinions about the world that people shouldn't.
Although if I would say this, I would say that I don't think that many footballers have opinions on it, if I'm being, so that you've got but I also think they've been constrained by the fact clubs have sort of drilled them into him from a young age. You know, it's football, that's all there is. Concentrate on football. And So I think nowadays you won't get many people with opinions in general or too much knowledge about certain things but that's also from the club's point of view. They've never really, players aren't given the freedom to almost like be allowed to have an opinion.
I mean, you were very modest about your footballing talents when you were at university, and now you're a footballer and you're doing a lot of political thinking. I mean, would you ever stand for Parliament? Would we ever have JL for PM?
I can't see it. I don't think enough would agree with me. No, I can't. I can't see it. I don't think I could do something like that. But I do. Yeah, I don't know what I'll do. I can't see it being that.
Okay, well, let's see.
But you never know.
Exactly.
Who knows?
You've got plenty of time left. You've got about 40 years before you need to worry about that. I'm going to ask you some questions. I'm going to put you in some situations, and you've got to pick a teammate in each situation. So you're going on holiday for a month. You need to leave your dog with a teammate. Which one do you pick?
Michael Dawson.
Why?
Oh, I actually changed that. Or Joe Worrell.
Dawson's been sacked.
Michael Dawson or Joe Worrell. Because they've both got dogs. Well, Joe Worrell hasn't really got his family, got loads of dogs. And they're both really good with dogs. And yeah, they're both pretty responsible in that regard. And they both would love to have her.
Okay.
There she is now. She's crying because she's got a little...
Oh, yeah.
Gorgeous dog.
Is that a black lab?
For listeners of the podcast who can't, well, obviously no one on the podcast can see a podcast, but that is a really gorgeous dog joke. I got choked up seeing it. Right, here's the next one. You've been arrested by the police. We don't know what the charges are yet, but they've arrested you. Who's the first teammate you call for help?
Ryan Yates.
Ooh, why Ryan Yates?
Dependable, reliable.
Nice.
He'll answer straight. He'll just do as he's told.
He's very reliable and excellent at bribing coppers.
Yeah.
Talking of which, the next situation, for whatever reason, you need to borrow money fast. Which teammate would lend it you?
None of them. Ben Watson, because I know he'd have it. I know he must have a few quid lying about as well, spare.
The goal bonus from the FA Cup final was probably still keeping his eyes so warm. I'd say that. I have no idea about Ben Watson's financial situation. Okay. You're in a situation, you've ended up having to provide the catering for a major conference and have agreed to provide a 5-course meal for 500 delegates. Which teammate do you get to help you out cook it all?
Dorse. I don't know how many of the lads cook, to be fair. So I've got to rule out the foreign lads. And then I don't know how many of the other lads. I know Dorse, he likes his lasagnas and his pastas he likes to make on a Friday night. I cook a bit, to be fair, so I think we'd have a good go at the partnership, and he'd lift me spirits, keep me staying, I think.
Okay, good. And what's your signature dish?
Where to start? Been doing this. It's in a book, this one. So when I say it's called Coca-Cola chicken. And so it's in a pinch of nom. It's pretty simple, to be honest, but it's lovely.
Sounds fantastic.
Ben Watson had it once.
When we were at Plymouth, Paul Sturrock came in, and we had a Friday club, and he put you into pairs. And on Friday, the lunchtime meal had to have been cooked by 2 of the lads. And the rest of the lads would grade it, and the fine was astronomical. And at the end of the year, the lowest score. So you could risk it and get a domino. It's cracking. But all the lads, some of the lads got a Domino's and just risked it and went, I'm not cooking, but there you go. What are you going to score a Domino's? And
what was that? What was that given?
Well, it would get middle ground because there's not enough effort, but it's nice.
Yeah.
And then some lads would go, do you know what? And then the missus would help, and they'd get people to come in, and some of the lads were abysmal, and it was amazing. Some of it was not edible. It was so good, man.
I'd love to see some of the lads have a go, because I know some of them definitely don't cook. So I'd love to see what they try rustle up.
And in a way, it'd be funny to pick the people who can't cook. But here's another situation. Due to a bizarre contract negotiation, you're booked to headline next summer's Glastonbury Festival. You're allowed 4 other teammates in your backing band. Who do you pick?
Sammy Amino, John Bostock to start, because they like a little sing. To be fair, I can just about hold a note. And then the next 2, it's difficult.
Can you play anything?
No, I would love to play the guitar, but never learn. I think who does it for? Who plays for Preston? Paul Gallagher. I've seen him post a few things. He's not bad.
Yeah, his brother Noel's quite good, isn't he?
The Gallagher brothers.
yeah,
all of them.
The third Gallagher brother is called Paul, actually, but I don't. You can't be that Paul. Quite a happy man.
I don't know after that, to be fair. Maybe someone like Hef, because of his confidence.
Yeah, it could be a sort of Bez character.
He'd sort of get the crowd going then. Breach, just to sit back and just bodyguard on the side.
Fair dues. That's a good lineup. Now, at the end of the year, Forest say you've got to take part in an adult-themed Christmas panto at the Theatre Royal. The lead has to have a saucy sense of humour. Which of your teammates?
Michael Hefferley. It couldn't be any more perfect. Michael Hefferley.
Has he got quite a rude sense of humour then?
I think it would be illegal if some of the videos and some of the stuff he puts out.
You know what? It's so annoying having to do this in isolation, because usually we record these in Nottingham and then we can all go to the pub afterwards. And we could have had a look at some of these videos. So.
Maybe one day.
Maybe we'll have an end of season emotional reunion.
Yeah, he's a brilliant guy. Very funny, and he's just mad. So he's great value, to be honest.
So
very interesting as well.
So I mean, who knows how long this lockdown lasts? We may well see Michael Hefferley in this Christmas's adult panto.
He'd be. I'd pay good money to go watch. To be fair,
is that a picture of Nicholas Tesla on your shelf up there?
What is it?
Looks like Nicholas Tesla.
No, it's my granddad.
Oh, is it?
Looks a bit like Oscar Schindler from there.
You know what? Oh my God, it does. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's my granddad when he was a bit younger.
Looks like a cool boy, mate.
Yeah, nice. Don't look at it too often.
Pictures, Matt. Have you got a picture of Joe?
I've got a Stuart Pearce England shirt on the wall. Yeah. Picture of John
Lovely.
McGovern. A 1966 thing, and the clock is a replica from the Cabinet War Rooms. So it's a real mix of
and a
wartime history of Forest. Joe, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us, mate, and for giving us your time when you've got a dog that needed to go to the vet and chicken and rice that needed eating. That's very kind of you.
Apologies for eating it during the podcast.
You were very discreet. I mean, this is the problem with video calls, is when you're just on a normal phone, you can do whatever the hell you like while you're on the phone to people. But with this, you have to behave yourself.
It's half left, half cold. But I will finish it off, just slowly.
Well, we appreciate your sacrifice. Good luck for the rest of the season, mate. When it starts, we're so excited.
Yeah, and all the best when it kicks off again.
Cheers,
thank you
mate.
for having me. And
pleasure, mate. Anytime. Cheers, Joe.
Take care, both of you.
Man.
Well, there you go, Joe Lolley. What an absolute treat that was. Tweet us at RRD1865 on Twitter. Email us rrd1865@outlook.com. What an absolute pleasure. On the whole, on this show, we've interviewed former players. We had Ryan Yates on before, who was amazing. And it's not that it shouldn't be, but it is hugely reassuring when you talk to members of the current squad, how just impressive they are as people, not just as footballers. And obviously, we all admire their talent when they're on the pitch, but as people, they're hugely impressive individuals. And Joe Lolley is obviously just such a bright, articulate, thoughtful, and funny person. It's just a real thrill.
Member of the current squad that even the boys we did on the live one, like you say, they're hugely impressive. Like such good lads. You know, brilliant. Love it.
It's great. And obviously Joe and other members of the squad have done fantastic stuff for charity in Nottingham during this period. So all credit to them for doing that. Now, we're in a rare position where we can announce who we've got on next week. Paul, why don't you do the honours? He's an old teammate of yours. You've booked him. Tell us who it is.
That's the beauty of this lockdown. Like you say, we don't. No one has to go anywhere. So we've got Desi Little with his slippers on, with his feet up and his pipe on and his smoking jacket, sat in his drawing room. Imagine that, if you will. So yeah, Des has agreed to do it from the comfort of his own home, which is ace. Last time I saw Des, it was at the Forest Legends game, and he's not changed a bit. He's brilliant.
Wow,
so
I cannot wait for this. As you would imagine, dear listeners, Des Little is someone we've been trying to get on the show for a while. I'm delighted we can make it happen during the lockdown. So that'll be out next week. Des Little will be on. So tweet us your questions and memories to rrd1865. Email them to rrd1865@outlook.com. Thank you so much for listening to this. Please leave a review on iTunes and share it on your social media. Tell your family and friends about it. Paul, it's just lovely to be talking to you again.
Cheers, mate. And listen, stay safe. Look after yourself, man. I know you've got a few conditions where you have to stay in and be on lockdown on crack. Lockdown plus. But yeah, and to everyone else, you know, stay safe. Be cool.
Stay safe and be cool. And we are here for you during this. We're going to make as many of these as we can to keep your peckers up. So we'll see you next week with Des Little. Can't wait. You ready?